Hello, my name is Crimpy Wheel, and welcome back to the Wheelhouse. Today, we're going to be talking about, movies. Movies. Those good old things you go to a movie theater and watch? Yeah, those. Specifically, I have 4 movies that I want to talk about today, which came out, pretty recently, but I think some really impactful movies for me, and just overall just really big movies that, with a lot of them, not many people are expecting to be so good. The movies I will be talking about today is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the Mario movie, Top Gun, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, I will be discussing spoilers, so if you haven't seen these movies, I recommend go watch them. These movies are just absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. I can't speak. They're amazing, pretty much. They're really good, and if you haven't seen them already, go watch them. I highly recommend them. Anyways, first of all is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And holy shit, this movie is insane. I went and saw this 2 times in the theaters, which is rare. I usually don't see movies multiple times. I think the last time I did that was Spider-Man No Way Home. Pretty much, if you don't know what even the Guardians are, if you've never seen a Guardians movie, they're just really fun. They're really fun, and the music in them is just absolutely awesome. Like, these movies have some of the best, and I think when, I'm growing up with, the past 2, I'm like, oh my god, this is music that I love. Because if I didn't see those Guardians movies, I don't think I would, even been exposed to those old songs. I know for this movie, it probably, at least in my opinion, I think has the best music out of all 3. And if I had to pick my top 3 songs, let me see here. My top 3 songs, it would probably be number 1, Do You Realize? I really also like I'm Always Chasing Rainbows. In the Meantime, and then also Since You've Been Gone. Those are probably, obviously not top 3, but just roughly those are probably my favorite out there. I'm like, shit, man. The music was so good. It was so perfectly executed in that movie. The only thing I think with the music is that the last 2, the Guardians theme played a lot during those movies. And for some reason, it only played once, which obviously the explanation I've heard kind of going around is Rocket's not really present. So so it's not the Guardians because Rocket's down. I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But then there's also a lot of times where I think it should have been played when Rocket was there even. For example, when they're killing the main dude. I forgot his name already. But the main dude, the main male villain. But that's probably the only issue in this movie. Everything else is just amazing. I think it perfectly just balances the seriousness of it, or the darkness and the comedy, because this is the first Guardians movie that goes really really dark, extremely dark, and I'm like, holy shit, what the hell, this is, it's another level. Rocket freaking, all his friends dying and getting shot, and oh my god. Because I know James Gunn really said that was gonna be its own thing, but now seeing it I think I liked how they did it, where it's it jumps between the 2 stories. Because definitely Rocket's, I know everyone's out there dude, Rocket's my favorite character now. I'm like, you know what? That's fair enough. It was good at shit, and I think even just the ending for all the characters, the ending of that movie, holy fuck. The song choice, obviously perfect. I was not expecting it. I believe that's their most modern song. I could be wrong about that, but it's definitely oh, I've actually heard this song outside the Guardians before. So that was definitely a moment, because obviously, Peter returns home, and I'm like, holy shit. him returning home, like that almost just made me cry. I think that's the closest that made me cry. Just like the music goes quiet and he's just slowly walking down this like, you know, pretty normal neighborhood. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, holy shit. Like, I know my mouth was wide open so much during this movie. Obviously, you know, Drax finally is a father now, back with all those children. Mantis is trying to find what their needs are. What else? Nebula is running nowhere now, which is kind of insane. And then Rocket's running the Guardians of the Galaxy, which, holy shit. That, honestly, I don't think it could have been a better ending. I think that is probably the best ending we could have got. Something else, I know when I went to go see this movie with my friend, Christopher. You might have seen him in some of my videos. I've done some with him. That dude cried. That dude, Christopher, if you're watching this, hi, I'm exposing you. I mean, he didn't cry too much, but holy shit, the movie was really emotional. Because obviously I do definitely have a really bias of it, just because I grew up with that shit. Like, that is the best shit ever. Like, I think easily, obviously, I think best Guardians movie, I think best trilogy, and overall just one of the best Marvel movies. And yes, it contends with Endgame. For me, and again, Endgame Infinity War, I don't know. It comes close. It comes really, really close. Something else that, going into this movie, so previously, before actually going to see this movie, I played, like, I believe it came out in 2017, the 2017 Guardians of the Galaxy game. Let me actually double check that, Guardians of the Galaxy game. Because I know I've been seeing a lot more on Twitter, but I got it because I got a Game Pass. I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to play this. Because when it came out, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. It came out in... Oh, it came out in 2021? Wait, really? Came out in 2021, I guess. Huh. Yeah, anyways, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Look it up if you have not played the game already. It's the same company who made the Marvel Avengers game. I played that game quite a lot. I think I played before even Guardians 3 was announced. I could be wrong, though. But it's an awesome game. It didn't get the respect. It is a very, very underrated game. Highly underrated game. And what I really love about the game is actually the characters. So the characters are like very roughly look like them, like the movie versions, but I believe they're slightly more comic accurate. I'm not entirely sure about that though. But very much like their roles are they're crazy. They're really unique. I'll kind of go through them. Like Star-Lord, obviously there's no more love between him and Gamora there. They've kind of removed that completely from the game, and he's just like, he's very much more of the leader type. And he's actually like stepping up more and leading the Guardians of the Galaxy. And if you don't know, that is the main character you play in the game, obviously. Then there's Gamora. Gamora is very much more on the edgy side, and even talks about like her being really depressed before joining the Guardians of the Galaxy. There's a lot of history there, but very different take on Gamora, which I don't hate. And I think it's honestly was kind of better than the previous movies versions. Rocket was pretty much exactly the same. He looked a little different, but he pretty much sounded the same and he acted the same. So not much to say there about Rocket. Groot, he was just, I think, more OP. Obviously, it's hard to expand on Groot's personality, but the personality was pretty much the same. He was just overall OP. Mantis, though, Mantis was a little bit wacky. Mantis was pretty wacky in that game, but it was also so much OP. She was pretty much just Doctor Strange. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, Doctor Strange? Like, she could see freaking the future and shit, like, see rough visions of it. I'm like, what is happening? And Drax was also more of like, he talked more about his wife and like his daughter, and there's even a whole section of the game where he's like really dealing with that and doesn't want to get rid of it. So after really playing that game, I'm like, holy shit, these Guardians might be better than the movie versions. And And after like just thinking about it more and more, like, I'm like, you know what? I think they are. I think they're so much better. And I think it's so cool to see this. So if you haven't already, play the game. It is super underrated. Super. It is worth the price, I promise. But after seeing this third movie, I think the James Gunn somehow made the characters match more to the personality of the game characters. Which, obviously, the game's not connected to the MCU. It's a totally standalone thing. But, holy shit. Like, I think Star-Lord's much more leader. Gamora, it obviously not really changed. But, like, Drax, they went more into his father-like stuff. And I'm like, dude, perfect. I loved how everything was executed. It was just 10 out of 10. Anyways, I think we're gonna stop talking about the movie because I could be here all day. The next movie I do want to talk about is the Mario movie. So the Mario movie was pretty exciting because it was it was a video game movie, which obviously they don't turn out to be good, but at the same time, it's a video game movie. Second, it's animated. An animated video game movie showing in theaters, made by Illumination, who, you know, storytelling is definitely meant more towards children, but animation is just beautiful. And after like learning all that stuff, like, dude, this is gonna be an awesome movie. And then obviously there's the casting, and the casting is, you know, it was quite interesting when it first came out. You know, Chris Pratt as Mario. I wouldn't personally cast him as Mario, but I'm like, okay, you know what, it's still gonna be an interesting movie. So I went to go see this movie with Matt. You might have also seen him. He's also been in some of my other videos. And holy shit, this movie is probably the most fun movie I've ever seen. Yes, it has its issues, but it was literally like the whole time watching it was just pure joy. And no other movie has made me feel like that. Just like pure happiness. Like, wow, this movie is just fun. And I don't know why it was fun. I think a lot of it has to do with the music, because if you didn't catch on to it, the music in that movie was literally, it took like parts of the video game music and put it in and just made it just perfect. I'm like, dude. And just all the characters, I think all the actors were actually pretty well casted, including Chris Pratt. I think Chris Pratt was honestly a pretty good Mario. I think I was fine with his accent like really quickly. I'm like, oh, this just sounds like Mario, or like a pretty close version of Mario. I think probably the only person who kind of like under-delivered was Seth Rogen, because like it just sounds like Seth Rogen. He didn't really do much, but I think he was still pretty good as Donkey Kong. And obviously, you got the freaking Peaches song. Like, Jack Black, are you kidding me right now? You're kidding me. Peaches? Huh? Where did that come out of? See, I did get spoiled a little bit. I'm like, okay, there might be a music number. And I kind of got teased on it a little bit, just because, fun spoilers. Like, I try to see as fast as I can, but it's still hard to avoid the spoilers. And, oh my god, just amazing. I don't know how to, like, express it. Obviously, going to the issues of this movie, yes, the pacing. That is the one thing, like, if you are not a Mario fan, if you have never played a Mario game, or maybe you haven't played a Mario game since the first one, you might not enjoy this movie. This movie might seem pretty typical to you, and the pacing doesn't help. See, the pacing of this movie was really, really fast. Obviously, I believe the intention was to kind of, like, keep younger audiences engaged, but it went pretty fast. Obviously, the movie is an hour and 30 minutes, which now is it's pretty short, because most movies now are 2 hours long. Like, I think the new Spider-Man's over 2 hours long. That's coming out soon. So, that definitely turned down its score. I think besides that, everything else worked perfectly, but the pacing really held it down. So, I think when they do another one, because let's be honest here, they're gonna do another one. There's no way they're not doing another one. I kind of hope they put more time, like just spread out the pacing. Like, let's just let the story breathe a little bit more. But the reference is perfect. Absolutely perfect. I have literally zero complaints besides the pacing. If you also didn't know, I actually recreated this movie in Minecraft just because I enjoyed it so much. Well, technically, I saw the trailers and then made the video off of that because, you know, I gotta post it in time. You know, it's not gonna be like 1 month later, here's the Mario video. Oh, you guys don't even care anymore? Too bad. You know, we gotta get a little bit close to the movie release date. Cause I know we did that. I recreated the freaking the Mario Brothers rap and the Peaches song with Weedy singing. And if you know Weedy, also another friend of mine, he was Bowser in the video. So obviously, really fun video to work on. I definitely want to do with more movies. I mean, mostly more movies, kind of like the Mario movie, because I don't know, but it's really hard to find a movie like that. Like I would have done movie with the Guardians of the Galaxy, but you know, there's not really good mods, and that's just kind of it's a different topic for another day. Anyways, that's all I have to really say about the Mario movie. Let's move on to Top Gun. Now, or specifically Top Gun Maverick. So, before seeing this movie, I didn't know what Top Gun was. I had zero idea. I knew who Tom Cruise was. I saw Tom Cruise, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like Mission Impossible or whatever. And for me, the Mission Impossible movie is like, you know, cool action. They're not really meant for the stories. To be fair though, I haven't seen a lot of the Mission Impossible movies. So, my dad and my uncle wanted to go see it. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess. Why not? It's a movie. So, you know, I went and we go to the movie. Obviously, I haven't seen the original one. So, I'm going in completely blind. I have absolutely zero expectations. I'm like, you know what? There'll be pretty cool action, I hope. But that's all I'm really expecting. And, oh my god. Holy shit. Top Gun had, I think, the most solid movie story ever. And it's hard to explain why it worked so well, but it just did. Including the music. The music, oh my god. Just the theme is the best thing ever. The action, the sound effects, which obviously it won an Oscar for. And then obviously, you know, you got the real life jets flying in the air, which is crazy. And I think it definitely kind of explained what happened in the previous movie pretty well. So I know coming to this movie, it was like, oh, you know, you don't really need to see the last movie. I did actually watch the last movie after watching this new one. It's definitely not as good as this new one. I know my dad and uncle are like, yeah, you know, this one's maybe better, but we kind of like the last one more. Like, fair enough, but this one blew it out of the park. Like, I think this easily could have won it could have won an Oscar for the best movie of the year if another movie, which I'll talk about soon in a little here, wasn't better. But just, oh my god, I don't even know what to say. Like, I think like I'm speechless. I'm actually speechless. This movie will make you speechless. Like, oh my god. How they did everything. I think the villain, the quote-unquote villain, I think worked out perfectly. I loved Tom Cruise in the movie and the cast. I don't know what the actual name was with the mustache, but I know he did pretty well. And I think he was Goose's son, I believe, if I remember correctly. I also know they had some like small references back to the original movie. And I believe they actually even were working on the third one. So that's gonna be, listen, I'm here for it. That is gonna be actually just awesome. Okay, now to our final movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Now, this is by a company called A24. I have never heard of them before this movie. What did I just say was English? I never heard of them before this movie came out. That's what I meant. So like Top Gun, I had zero expectations. I kind of forgot why I went to see this movie. I'm like, huh, you know, I've kind of heard this movie is kind of cool. It has to do with the multiverse, which obviously Marvel was just introducing when it came out. I'm like, you know what, the multiverse, I kind of liked it in Marvel. I'm kind of interested to see what they do with it here, but I'm kind of expecting it to be like it'll be like a whatever movie. So I went to go see it, obviously, with my family again. And just like Top Gun, holy fuck. Did this shit deliver? Like, the visuals, the music, the fucking story. How can a movie with a low budget? I'd have to look it up. Actually, let me look it up really quickly. How much Everything, Everywhere, All at Once budget. This movie had 14 to 25 million dollar budget. So they're saying 25 million, and it made, oh my god, it made like 140 million. That doesn't even sound right. I believe it made more than that. It's Wikipedia. Wikipedia's not right. I don't know. It made a boatload of money though. It made a fucking boatload. Holy shit. But on such a low budget, like most of this movie, obviously, hoping you've seen it. If you've not, I'm gonna spoil it right now, so go watch it. It all takes place in an office building. I mean, most of the movie takes place in the office. There's sometimes where there's like little scenes out of the office building, but the main scene is a freaking office building. Obviously, like you sometimes go in the laundromat, but an office building. How are they able to make it so good? And this movie had one editor. There was more directors than there was editors. One. There was 2 directors and there was 1 editor. How the fuck? Because that movie looked good. I think how they did the multiverse was just perfect. Like, I don't think you could have done it better. And how they even like present the movie. So they present the movies in chapters. So you have everything. So chapter 1, everything is kind of like, it's before the multiverse. It's before the multiverse was even involved. It was just kind of giving you the exposition of what this family is, kind of what the problems they're dealing with, and a lot of like the family issues that are going on there and having to deal with the business. Then it goes to chapter 2, Everywhere, which just introduces the multiverse and the big villain, which turns out to be the main character's daughter. And then you have chapter 3, All at Once, where everything just goes fucking insane and everything just hits hard. Like, I need to see this movie again because obviously this movie's not fresh in my brain right now, if you couldn't tell. But it is just such a hard-hitting movie. And I think, honestly, it is definitely one of my most favorite movies of just all time. Like, I can't think of a movie right now that tops this movie. But, like, I mean, probably things like nostalgia will beat it, but, like, holy shit. Like, I think this movie had a lot of action scenes, and the action scenes were funny, and they were good. There's definitely, like, some parts, like, the movie's rated R, which I didn't realize going into it. I believe it's rated R. It might be rated R. I believe it's rated R. But, it sometimes have, like, sex toys in it and shit. And for me, at least, that's probably the only bad thing about the movie. Just because it felt very unnecessary. I'm like, oh, okay. Definitely, I think some audiences found it funny. But I'm just like, huh. I feel uncomfortable because I went to see this with my family. And I didn't realize it was, you know, it was going to have this shit. I mean, thankfully, it has nothing beyond that. It's still a pretty, like, you know, there's no sex scenes. There's no nudity from what I remember. It's not a lot of nudity, if there is any. But just beautiful. And the ending, too. Oh, my God. Dude, oh my God, there's some good quotes. I think I probably cried. And I don't cry. Here's the thing. I, like, never cry. Especially to a movie. But I think this movie made me cry. You know, Guardians of the Galaxy, that was close. That was really close. But Everything Everywhere All at Once got me. And holy fuck. I think if I ever, in my lifetime, make a movie, I want it to be that. I want it to be just like that. I want it to give audience members the same exact feeling as that. Because that is just fucking insane. I don't think I could ever stop talking about this movie. And obviously, it won a shit ton of Oscars. Like, see, if this movie didn't win, I think Top Gun would get Best Movie of the Year, hands down. But just because this massive ass movie came in, or not even massive, it's actually a pretty like small movie, but just all the topics it covers so many different topics and like just absurd. It's just absurd. You'll come out of that movie as a different person. Like, holy fuck. Anyways, and I didn't see it once, and I've only seen it once in theaters, but I did buy the movie. So that is better than seeing it multiple times in theater. I own this movie. Like, it's like I spent like $30 on that movie. Which, by the way, why are movies so expensive to buy? Like, they shouldn't be that expensive. But I bought this movie. I had to. How could I not buy this movie? So hey, go watch it. If you still ignored me, go watch this movie if you have not already. I know I'm going to be showing my friends again. I have one friend, cough cough, Matt, who has not seen it. So, definitely, it's awesome. It's amazing. And I think with that is all I really have to talk about in the movie. You know, I'm someone who, if I really watch these movies, I could probably give you more, but I have watched it in a while. I know Guardians I just saw like a few days ago, so I had a lot to say about that. But, you know how it is. So hey, go watch this movie if you have not already. And thank you for joining for the second episode of The Wheelhouse. We got some more fun stuff coming up, and I'm very excited to see where this channel will go. So once again, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.